there. Welcome back to the Rare Book Views channel, where hopefully I'm going to show you some rare books and share my thoughts on some rare books. If you like books, go ahead and subscribe. Share a comment with me. Let me know what you think about books too. Today I am going to a great used bookstore. It's actually a library bookstore. This is a place where sometimes people donate their books. I think some of them end up in the library, but a lot of them end up in the Friends of the Library bookstore. It's a county that I actually don't live in, and the county has a bunch of libraries, and they have multiple bookstores, but they have come and gone over the years. So there is a central bookstore, and then sometimes different libraries in the county have different bookstores, but this is the main one, and it has evolved. So when I first started going there, it was a pretty small space, and they actually got the space next to the store and expanded, but it is still jam-packed. And because it's kind of the central repository, there are books waiting to be moved to the other ones, or books waiting to get on the shelves. It is a real gambling spot of you never know what you're going to get, and how hard is it going to be to move around the space, and what are the prices going to be. There are some wonderful people who volunteer and do the shelving and the straightening and the pricing. So the pricing is really dependent on those people, and it comes and goes. Sometimes I go there and the prices seem really high for used books, and sometimes it is a total bargain. So today I will be looking to see if I can find any bargain rare books or classics or things that I'm looking to read. And I also have a list of things for my nieces and nephews and all the kids that I know. This is the time of year to start putting those presents aside. So I'm hoping to find all of those things. Let's go see what they have. Okay, the bookstore today was definitely different than some of my past trips. I heard one of the volunteers talking about they are getting the next space. So I said they started in a space and they expanded. Now they're going to get the next one, and that is just going to be for maybe administrative and sorting the books, which they really need, because they have the books now in these bins that are maybe what you would find in a dry cleaner, these huge fabric cart things, and there's so many of them you can barely get around. Even I love a root around in books. It was really daunting. There were a ton of books that were just in waiting, kind of on pause, and it was kind of hard to get to the shelves, but they always have a lot of books. The people watching was top-notch today. They had some things, but I thought the pricing was a little high, so I only bought a couple things, but they are good. So I bought this book. This is fiction. This is The Language of Flowers by Vanessa Diffenbough, I want to say. And I read a great review of this book. This is weaving in the idea that you can understand messages from different colors and types of flowers into a fiction plot. And I've been looking for this for a while. This is the advanced reader's copy. I think I've mentioned this before. The advanced reader's copy is when the publisher is getting ready to publish. They send a copy promotional to maybe reviewers or book writers for different newspapers, things like that. And then also some people who are just in a position, maybe the buyer in bookstores. And this is called the advanced reader's copy. It's printed in paperback, but it is the format usually of the hardcover. So this is kind of a weird, and it's pre-printing. So sometimes it is uncorrected and it might still have weird errors. So you can see this is just like the hardback. Because people get these, usually the people who get these are getting a lot of them. They don't usually keep them. But this, because it's a pretty well-known book and sought after, the library bookstore is selling this. It does say usually in an advanced reader's copy, maybe on the copyright page, it'll say this is not for resale, but they do get sold. And for an important book, say a really popular book by a really early author's career, so like an early Stephen King, if there was an advanced reader's copy of one of his books, that would be very sought after because they don't generally survive because these books are not meant to be sold. So this is a cool copy to have, and I'll be very interested to see if this becomes a blockbuster or there's a huge, amazing movie, then this could become valuable. Plus, I want to read it, so no big deal. This was just $2, which is not bad for a book that is still in hardcover. And this is really cool. This is John Bellairs. This is a compilation volume of his biggest hits, really the first 3 books in the series. And the first one is The House with the Clock in Its Walls. This is one of my very favorite books from when I was a kid. This is really when I discovered suspense, and kind of creepy, a little bit scary. I don't know what it would be like to read this book as an adult if you did not read it in your youth. If you do that, please tell me. I want to know what you think of it. But The House with the Clock in Its Walls, and I mentioned this recently, I did a video of classics to read in October, which was really fun to talk about and think about. And I talked about editions. I think if you're going to read a classic, I really want a hardcover or a special copy or something to feel like you're doing something significant. The House with the Clock in Its Walls, because it's a movie with really amazing actors, very popular. It was very popular before, and it is a vintage book, close to 50 years old. So it's hard to get a copy in hardcover, partly because it was also a young adult book. So the hardcovers mostly went to libraries and didn't survive in great condition. And I forgot about this edition. I'll put a link to that video in the notes for this one, but I forgot about this edition. This is also vintage. Let me check real quick. What is the copyright on this guy? All right, so this is an interesting example of, it's got on the copyright page the copyright of the books that are in this volume, and they're 1970s. There's no indication here when this physical book was printed. I think it was probably a little bit later. It could have been in the 70s, it could have been the 80s maybe. But what a great option. You can get this copy on eBay, I want to say for maybe $10 or so. So that is more attainable than a first edition of The House with the Clock in Its Walls or a vintage copy in hardcover. What a great one to have. So I picked this up partly so I could show it and say, this is a great option. And also, I already have the books in here, but I will put this on my eBay store because it will help fund my future purchases. So I thought it was very fun, and I had a great time, and I did get to see some cool books. You can see from the video that the shelves still had cool things on them, but I didn't buy a ton of things. So I'm hoping the next time I go, they'll have more things in my price range or more exciting things, but I'll definitely be back because it's so much fun. Well, thank you for joining me today. Thanks for watching. Leave me a comment if you have any thoughts. I would love to hear what you're reading and if you like classics and what's on your shelf. Thanks for watching and happy reading.